So the auto workers are on strike, and you have no idea how that's going to affect you, why it's happening, or what it will do. And well, I'm going to try my best to explain that to you today. Hopefully get you kind of understanding how it will affect the upcoming car market. And to begin, we're going to talk about why the unions are on strike to begin with. They feel that the wages aren't keeping up with inflation, with a priority in the newer workers sometimes having to work second jobs just to make ends meet. So now they're on strike, basically not going to work because they're currently in negotiations for a new contract. And their main demands are a substantial pay raise, and they would like a shorter work week. Now they're asking for a 40% pay raise and a 32-hour work week, which is 4 8-hour days. And all three automakers are basically turning that down right away, but are offering something in the middle. But the managers of the union are ready to take this thing all the way as long as they can, actually plan this quite well, and they're doing their best to get the demands they're asking for. The first part of their strategy is they've been saving a lot of money to have a strike fund to keep all of these union members paid through this whole striking fiasco. And no matter how much money you have, there's a lot of employees in this union, so they're stretching it out in the most strategic way possible by shutting down three main factories that manufacture trucks for Ford, Chevy, and Dodge. Sorry, not Dodge, but Jeep, the factory that makes the Wrangler. Well, that was last week, and now we're to current day, and they have just walked out of the parts distribution facilities for all of the big three companies, that is Ford, Chevy, and Chrysler. And there was a rumor that they were going to walk out of the engine building facilities, but it hasn't happened yet, so we're still seeing. Now, if you're like me and you heard a 40% pay raise and a 32-hour work week, you're probably thinking, man, that'd sure be nice, but that will never happen for me. Well, yeah, but on the union side here, they went through a lot through 2008. They all took pay cuts, and they really kind of held on for the companies to stay in business. And now here we are at current day, where the automakers are making record profits year over year, and the price of a new car just keeps going up and up. I actually did a little bit of a video on how crazy the car market is right now in the Nissan Versa video on this channel. It'll be up in the corner, but don't leave yet. Well, you can go watch that later. But I did talk about how the average new car price has outpaced inflation by double. So now on the automaker side, from their perspective, what they're asking for is extreme. A 32-hour work week is unprecedented. It's never been asked for before, and a pay raise like this is pretty crazy. And all of that going on while the new car market is still behind from the past 4 years. Yeah, it's a lot to ask for. The CEO of Ford even said if they did give in to their demands, they wouldn't be around for very long. Now, the automakers are playing ball here, and they have thrown out some pretty crazy offers, but they just have been shot down out of the air by the unions. Stellantis, I think that's how you say that, which manages production for Chrysler, they even offered a 20% pay raise and on a 4.5-year contract, and they turned it down immediately. There was no questions asked. But everybody is still in negotiations. It's not like they're not talking to each other. They're trying to work something out. So the unions want a lot, and the automakers don't want to give in. So what does that mean for you? Well, if you're in the market for a new American-made vehicle, chances are, if you can even find one, because I'm guessing they're going to be hard to come by here soon, the prices are going to be sky high. And that's just talking short term while the strike is going on. And in the long term, if the union demands are met, then that means basically what I said, but for a longer period of time, where car prices will just keep going up to make up for that pay raise, and they probably will slow production quite a bit. And if you're like me and you're thinking, well, somebody like Ford, who is one of the big three in question right now, they made $23 billion last year. Can't they cut into profits a little bit and we can maintain the car prices as crazy as they are right now? Well, it's just not that simple. So all three of the automakers in question are publicly traded companies, basically meaning people can invest, like buying shares on the stock market, and a lot of people have their retirement portfolios owning some of these stocks. So if next year, for whatever reason, Ford made $21 billion instead of 23, well, that technically shows as a loss of growth, which is bad for a stock, especially in like a retirement account where somebody is looking for that long-term growth. So then what happens is they see it didn't grow year over year like it always does, and then they freak out and they sell. And it really doesn't take that much, because what will happen is the market will be flooded by these shares, and it will cause the share price to go down because there's more of them available, and that kind of just, it's a snowball effect. It just keeps going down and down and down until eventually the company is no more. That's why, even as silly as it sounds, they really do have to make $23 to $24 billion next year to stay competitive. So that's why the cost of the contract that these unions want will just be passed directly to us, the buyers. Sorry for the economics lesson there. I felt like it was necessary to kind of break down what's going on. So to kind of dumb it down, if that didn't make sense, it's going to cost more if they give in to these union contracts, and they can't afford to take the loss, even though it seems like they should. So they will just directly pass it on to you, and that $80,000 pickup you were looking at is now going to be like $100,000 or something along those lines. So where we stand right now is that the union doesn't really want to meet in the middle. They're pretty hard pressed on their asks. So it's kind of up in the air. My personal guess is that they will get their 40% raise, and I'm not really too sure about the shorter work week. I kind of think that is what they call a big ask, where they throw that in there with it to make that 40% pay raise not look so bad, even though, that is substantial. So maybe my current theory is that in the end it will shake out to a 40% pay raise and probably the same 40-hour work week. Like I said, that is a guess. That is a complete shot in the dark. I have no evidence for that. It's just what I've seen in my experience in the world. Or on the other side of that, the auto companies will just say screw you, and they can move to a non-union area and build a different factory and just completely say screw Detroit and screw the unions. Which somebody like Ford and I think Chevy, I think all three of these have just said, to a point, they have moved a lot of their stuff out of Detroit. So that's kind of what happened with when Tesla moved from California to Texas. It was just getting away from that union state, lower taxes, the whole thing. And the only good part of that is that hopefully the jobs don't leave this country. Dodge has moved to producing a lot of stuff in Mexico and Brazil. Weirdly enough, Ford makes a lot of stuff in Europe, and I think Chevy makes a lot of stuff in Mexico as well. So hopefully they can keep these jobs in country at the very least. It still is very sad to see these jobs leave Detroit, as Detroit is known as the Motor City. And the part that really bothers me about if that happens is we really don't know how many people in the union were for this big push. So if the unions asked too much and all the union members didn't really want that, and they end up all losing their livelihoods, I could see a lot of big lawsuits coming, and it'd just be an overall terrible situation. Right now, that's kind of just all in the air. It's all guesswork. We have no idea. The negotiations have been getting a little bit more aggressive in the past couple days. This week, actually, a lot happened. So we'll see, and hopefully a new contract is signed, or something happens, because the distribution facility closing down, that's a huge gut punch. Like basically all of the parts in country are not going to be shipped out. And if anything new happens, I'll make sure to update you right here. And that is all for today. So make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on anything that drives.